Hello guys, it's Salvajee. Here's my Anthem review. Basically just all of the thoughts that I have from playing the game for a total of 25 hours at the time of making this video. Now I made this video during early access when the game doesn't have a day 1 patch, and when the game gets a day 1 patch I'm going to make an updated review, and hopefully by then I'll be pretty deep into the endgame to actually explain the endgame. I beat the main campaign and I've done a couple of the side quests, and I believe I'm level 27 at the time we'll be making this video. So what is it that Anthem has taught me so far? Well, I just want to point out this is one of the best looter shooters when it comes down to combat, period. I've never played a looter shooter or any PvE game at all whatsoever that actually makes me feel unique and satisfied when it comes down to my gameplay choices and my gameplay mechanics. One of my favorite javelins to use in Anthem is the Interceptor, and the reason for that is because it's just a really good javelin to take out a lot of weak enemies. So I go in, I jump in, I use my abilities, I combo up with my abilities, I then jump out, and then from 1 second to the next I'm on the other side of the map killing another weak target, and the progress just keeps on continuing. When I'm playing the Ranger, I'm just dishing out massive amounts of damage and just an overall subclass. When I'm playing the Storm, I'm doing a lot of area of effect. When I'm playing the Colossus, I'm doing a lot of damage, okay? So the game really does feel extremely satisfying, and I sort of feel like every javelin sort of has a specific job to do, and that's a big deal for me. See, games like Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 as well as its expansions, I never really felt as if the Hunter, Warlock, or Titan were sort of very unique, and you could almost just play all three of them in the same manner. But Anthem is completely different, and I have to say I have never experienced such satisfying gameplay in any single PvE game at all whatsoever. Another thing that I noticed as I was playing the game is that the characters in this game are actually very interesting, and every single character that I met, I actually cared about them, and of course I somewhat cared about their backstory, and it would get to a point where as I was talking to these random NPCs, I would actually be sort of rooting for them. For example, there's this lady that she bet her javelin in a game of cards, and basically she sort of needs to come up with a solution, and I sort of helped her come up with a solution. There's this other old lady in Fort Tarsus. She's waiting for someone to come back into the fort, but chances are that you know for a fact that person's most likely dead. But of course I didn't tell her that, and I actually told her that maybe that person might come back, and now I'm really worried about that lady. Surprisingly enough, however, Bioware thought that it was a really good idea to add a lot of backstory to these random NPCs, but add zero backstory to the villain at all whatsoever. But of course, I'm going to talk about the villain later. Something that I realized as I was playing the game as well is that the difficulties are actually pretty fair. If you want to solo throughout the entire storyline, you can easily do so in the solo difficulty. You're not going to have a hard time at all. And I just want to point out, if you want to experience Anthem, and if you want to experience the story fully, make sure that you absolutely play the game on easy, every story mission on easy, and make sure that you play them on private. Because at the time of me making this video, the loading screens are, they just take forever. And long story short, sometimes you load into a mission and you literally miss the beginning dialogue. Sometimes you go into a second zone of a story mission, and then out of nowhere, you get this loading screen because you're far away from your teammates. And then guess what? Your teammates load in, they get the story dialogue, and you're still in the loading screen, so you cannot hear the story dialogue. So if you want to experience the story in Anthem, again, play on easy and make sure you play on private. Now I want to talk about the flow of the story in the game. Quite honestly, when the game starts out, the game just has a lot of momentum, and every single story that I do, I just want to get into it, right? I want to go on forward to the next story. I want to see what happens. The story has me hooked, and within a couple of hours of the game, I was realizing, wow, I guess this is why Bioware was bragging on Twitter about how good they are when it comes down to making a world and when it comes down to making a story. I'm really enjoying myself. But then out of nowhere, the game just decides to put this terrible big barrier in front of you that makes the story take a huge pause. When the story's building up momentum and you're actually invested in it, the game just puts this barrier that just forces you to complete these specific tasks in free play or in missions. And those tasks can take between 3 to 5 hours to complete. In fact, it took me 5 hours to complete the first day that I was playing Anthem. So here I was enjoying the story with a lot of momentum, and then out of nowhere the momentum just stops, And quite honestly, it almost just made me leave the game and just play Fortnite Save the World. Another thing that I noticed is that after you get over this hump, the story gets momentum again, only to then be stopped. And then, you know, by the time it needs to be stopped, you need to get like, you need to kill 3 titans in the game, because I'm not gonna, you know, point out any big spoilers. You need to kill 3 titans in the game, but of course, that sort of makes the story slow down a bit. And then after you get that specific object that you want, you go back to this place to face the boss, and that's it. You defeat the boss. And that's about it. There's a total of about 7 to 8 story missions in this game. And the reason why that really upsets me is because Bioware was constantly bragging and constantly talking about how they're Bioware and how they make great stories and how, of course, their stories are very impactful with a lot of the characters. Earlier in the video, I talked about the villain. So let's go a little bit more in depth into the villain. The villain in Anthem feels very, very shallow, and quite honestly, it's something that really got me by surprise because this is a Bioware game, and I was actually expecting, you know, the villain to be interesting. I mean, again, Bioware was bragging on Twitter and on Reddit a couple of days ago about how they're Bioware and how they deliver a crazy story, but quite honestly, I just feel like they missed a lot of opportunities when it came down to the villain called, of course, the Monitor. You never really find out his motivations, you never learn anything about him, and at the end of the story, minor spoiler alert, he just gets killed off, and it's like basically nothing happened. It's like if he wasn't a threat to the game at all in general. I felt more threatened by the titans that I was fighting in replay than by the actual villains itself. And I'm not kidding when I say this, random NPCs in Anthem have better dialogue and better backstory than the actual villain itself. The villain is just saying, oh yeah, I'm more powerful than you, Freelancer. I'm gonna get the Anthem of Creation. And random NPCs in the game are actually telling me their backstories. Like for example, this lady wanted to see a baby Korok, so she went to see a baby Korok with her friend, and then her friend had a gun, so the baby Korok's mom basically threw down her friend really high in the air, and now the friend is peeing blood. You know, that time that was spent making the backstory for this random merchant lady, why wasn't that time spent in the villain? The villain in the game overall just felt really, really shallow, and it definitely disappointed me because I was expecting a lot from this villain. One of the most frustrating and triggering experiences that I felt as I was playing Anthem though was the no audio bug. According to Bioware, this bug is going to be fixed on the day 1 patch, but of course when the day 1 patch comes out and I play it for a while, I'm going to be bringing you guys an update whether this issue has been fixed or not. Because according to some people in the internet, this issue is not going to get fixed because Battlefront 2 and Mass Effect Andromeda still have this issue to this day. And keep in mind, those are some games that have been around for a while. Long story short, what happens is you're playing a mission and the audio just completely disappears like a straight up ninja. And the only way to actually hear the audio is to actually close off the game. Now, the reason why this was so triggering and frustrating is because I was doing a lot of story missions and at times the audio just got cut off. So I had to end the mission and basically restart the mission. And I had to do missions multiple times because I wanted to hear the dialogue. Anyways, it was really, really frustrating, and I can't read subtitles while I'm fighting the enemies on hard, which again, if you want to experience the story in Anthem, play the game on private and play the game on easy. Trust me, you're not going to regret it, and you're going to be able to fully experience Anthem. Another bug that I experienced is that sometimes I would finish a mission, but I wouldn't really get to see the cutscene at all. And of course, this was kind of frustrating, and it actually happened when I was fighting the final boss. See, this guy thought he was so special that he could... Cinematic in progress, please wait. Okay, yo, I better see the cinematic. Like, if the game just bugged out and it's not letting me see the cinematic, I'm gonna be upset. This guy thinks he's so special, he's gonna be able to outsmart the work. Alright, okay. Return to the heart of... Okay, another loading screen. So, did this game just not easy last night? Look out. Are you fucking kidding me? The two biggest issues in the game right now, other than the no audio bug, is the tethering system and loading screens. Loading screens are extremely long and take forever, and sometimes you literally load into a mission after all of your teammates have loaded in, which means that you don't get to hear the opening dialogue for the mission. But not only do you log into the mission really late at times, but if your teammates are ahead of you, then you're gonna get teleported towards them, and you actually have to go through another loading screen when you're getting teleported to your teammates, something that Destiny does and doesn't actually require a loading screen. So I have no idea what Bioware was thinking. To give you guys a general idea of how much time you're going to waste if you're going to free play, but then you realize that you have to change your loadout, so you have to go back to Fort Tarsis, change your loadout, and then go into free play, you're going to go through a total of 7 minutes and 12 seconds of loading screen if you have the game installed on a hard drive on a PC. And I actually can't afford to install Anthem on an HDD. Also, shout out to a Reddit user, because that's where I got that statistic from, but a total of 7 minutes of loading screen, alright, to actually go into free play, but then get out of free play, change your loadout, and go into free play again. That's a lot of time. And I just want to point out right now, I'm really not looking forward to getting the gameplay for my 100 tips video, because I'm probably going to be wasting a lot of times in loading screens. If I had to choose 3 things that need to get fixed as fast as possible, would be the audio bug. The audio bug needs to be fixed ASAP, because it will ruin the experience big time for a lot of the players that are going to be getting the day 1 version of Anthem, and I really don't want that for them. The tethering system needs a lot of improvements, and maybe a whole rework in general. And another thing that I want to see is better optimization. I'd rather not get content for this game for an entire month and have the loading screens be faster than get content for, on the month of March and actually have it so that I have to still go through minutes upon minutes of loading screens. Ignore that notification, by the way. But those are my thoughts on Anthem. If you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to drop it a like, and I just want to point out, by no means I am actually very upset with the game. In fact, I am actually enjoying it a lot. I really enjoyed my time with it when it comes down to the gameplay. It's just that there's a couple of things about the story and a couple of mechanics in the game that are actually bad. But the gameplay is very satisfying, and if the end game keeps being satisfying and the grind very sort of rewarding, I can definitely see myself playing this game a lot. But of course, hopefully they can fix some of the key problems in the game, like loading screens, tethering, and the audio bug issue. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. If you guys are playing Anthem, you definitely want to make sure that you subscribe to the channel, because I'm going to be bringing you guys a lot of quality guides. I already have an Interceptor guide written up that I'm going to be recording as soon as I finish making my 100 tips video for Anthem, and that video should be out soon, so you don't want to miss out on it. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll be seeing you guys on my next video. Peace out.